here is John Boehner. Just a couple of days ago, he was at a trade show in Las Vegas, a pharmaceutical trade show.
Yeah, pharma.
And apparently it was from someone who requested anonymity. I imagine there was a lot of people in that. That's a big screen. He's up there, I don't know, soberly outlining what he thinks is going to happen with this repeal and replace. I think there's a little bit of a revisionist history here, but go ahead.
Here we are, 7 months into this year, and yet they've not passed this bill. Now, they're not going to repeal and replace Obamacare. It's been around too long. And the American people have gotten accustomed to it. Governors have gotten accustomed to this Medicaid expansion. And so trying to pull it back is really not going to work. But what they can do, though, is move it away from government control, where the states have more control over what happens, and individuals have more control. So when it's all said and done, here's what's going to happen. You're not going to have
pause it for 1 second. Let me just remind you that states are government too. I don't know what he's talking about.
A different matter of government.
Well, he could be
Not
talking
for
like
long.
the guys in charge of the rest stops at the states are gonna manage the healthcare there. Go ahead.
When it's all said and done, here's what's going to happen. You're not going to have an employer mandate anymore. You're not going to have the individual mandate. The Medicaid expansion will be there. The governors will have more control over their Medicaid populations and how to get them care. And a lot of the Obamacare taxes will probably go. But they've had a tough time getting there. But if they can't do healthcare reform, I don't know how they would ever do tax reform.
Okay, so what he's suggesting is that obviously the employer mandate would be gone, the individual mandate would be gone, which would create adverse selection and in fact completely screwed up the current healthcare bill. Because if you don't require everybody to get insurance, but you also require insurance companies to cover pre-existing conditions, then you're going to create what is known as a death spiral. No one's going to buy insurance until they get sick. So the insurance companies will be collecting premiums only from people who are definitely going to use their health care insurance and will probably use it in a big, big way. So the challenge is, how do you make sure that our risk pool involves people who are healthy and sick, not just sick? Well, the Republicans came up with an idea. There's a 6-month lag time. If you let your insurance go, you can't get health insurance for 6 months. That way, if you get sick, you can't go out and just get insurance. You got to wait 6 months. You got a 6-month waiting period to get back on insurance. The problem that they just found out they had was that the parliamentarian on Friday said, that's all well and good, but that doesn't impact budget questions, and you're using it as a reconciliation bill, which requires only a 50+1 majority. And you got to strike that from the bill if you want to vote via reconciliation. So if they have no mechanism to even encourage people to get insurance, they're going to have adverse selection, death spiral, end of game. So he's claiming, John Boehner is, remember, this is a guy who got driven out by his own caucus. So, and then he goes on to say, like, well, we're going to block grant Medicaid, which is what he means by giving governors more control, which we all know the problem with that. It means throwing people off of Medicaid in those states for the most part. And then he says, get rid of the Obamacare taxes, which is what this is all about. In other words, we'll have window dressing. The bottom line is get rid of those taxes so that we can even have even more tax cuts down the road. That's John Boehner's message, and he's sticking with it. Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos